Well, hi guys, and I'm walking around the show. This is the first interview on video I've done at the show today, but I walked around and I found this man with a box and it says SDRSwitch.com. Interesting little box, as you can see. Come on, sir, tell me what it's all about.
Well, the idea behind the SDR switch was so that you can have an SDR receiver and your normal radio. Other companies have manufactured them, but one thing that they didn't take into account was I come from a VHF background. So what matters to me is losses. Yeah. And with the SDR switch, as you can see from the relays, we're using serious relays in there with very low losses and very high isolation. That means, let's take the old MFJ one, for instance. You know, they did a great product, but the insertion loss on their relays was very high. On 430 megahertz, it was 19 dB, which is the equivalent to turning your stereo down from 100 to 1. Yeah. On this particular version, and we do 4 or 5 different versions, on this particular version, the insertion loss is 0.8 dB. So basically, you're not going to see this switch. So what this switch does, if we look on the front of it, we have 4 BNCs. We have an antenna, we have the transmitter RX out, RX in. Obviously, that goes to your antenna. This goes to your radio. When you transmit, the signal goes from your transmitter to the antenna. But when you receive, it comes to this RX out. This means you can bring it to your SDR, and you can run SDR Play and their SDR Connect software, or you can run SDR Console with a SDR of your choice. And I don't just mean as a pan adapter.
Right.
Most people, when they look at SDRs, they think, oh, they're pretty pictures. I'm sorry. You and I discussed the ICOM 9700, which I have a 9700. I have an RSPDX2. It's a better receiver. It's far more sensitive as a receiver, and I see more things on it than I do on my 9700. And I love my ICOM 9700. Yeah. But when you look at SDRs, they're not pan adapters, they're receivers. So with this box, it allows you to receive on both your SDR, and if you choose to go back in where it says RX in, you can receive also on your 9700, your 7300, any radio of your choice. And you're not going to notice this switch. So one of the biggest problems with the other SDR switch on the market is high isolation, high insertion loss, low isolation. Yeah. You can pick up one from various companies for £35 off the internet, and you'll be buying a new SDR Play next week because the isolation between the transmission and the receive signal is so bad, you're just going to get too much power through.
Yeah. So it's interesting. And yeah, I'm a VHF person myself as well. It's an interesting box. And you're right in what you say. It is, looking at it as the first inspection I got on it, quality components. The board is nicely laid out. The board could be repaired by pretty much anybody because the surface mount components are a reasonable size, but it's quality. And if you've got a low insertion loss, when you're starting up VHF and UHF, that's more important. I've used the MFJ product, very happy with it down at HF, but I never used it at VHF and UHF because I was using it with a Kenwood TS 590. So this is an interesting product.
Yeah, and I love the MFJ. I love it as a company. They were a great company and fantastic market. It's just, this was aimed at a different market. It was aimed at the HFer or the VHFer who wanted to be able to control things rather than everything being in one box. So if we look on the back, one of my biggest markets is parks on the air. Yeah. They want all the cables the same because when they go out portable, things break. And guarantee whatever breaks is the one cable you don't have. So if we look at the back of it, we have the 12 volt DC, yeah. We have the PTT, we have an amp, and we have an LNA. Obviously the 12 volt DC powers the switch. The PTT takes the PTT from your radio and keys the SDR switch. Why don't we have RF sensing? RF sensing fails too often. Right. When it fails, it takes out lots of dollars worth of equipment. And it's a great idea, but I don't want to have to, as a radio ham, I don't want to have to keep repairing amplifiers because the RF sensing failed.
Too right, because if you have to keep repairing them, the tracks are going to go eventually or lift off the board. Now, it's an interesting product. You say that this is not the only product you built to market. So tell us a bit more about this one and the other products you've done.
Absolutely. Well, this one, as you can see, has the blue Toshiba relays in it. I mean, absolutely wonderful relays, but they are very, very expensive. And you need them. This one is a 0 to 450 megahertz. It'll go up to 1,000, but I sell as 0 to 450. The other ones I sell are 0 to 70 megahertz. You don't need these relays on 0 to 70 megahertz. So I produce a box that's slightly cheaper to the buyer because they don't need to waste money on expensive relays. If you're only going up to 70 megahertz, you can get enough isolation from a normal relay.
Yeah.
This one allows you, it's a 4 BNC. So I call this dual receive. You can receive on both your rig and your SDR. And remember, we're talking SDRs aren't pan adapters. They're receivers. And that's a big difference to get over in your head, that it's going to be as good as your rig, if not better. So, and then you can feed back in and receive on both your radio. So it's dual receive, your radio and your SDR. I do one with 3 BNCs because some people realize they don't want to receive on their radio. They're happy just to receive on their SDR. So on that particular one, it's a single receive on your radio, transmit on your SDR. And then for the HF guys, this was something that's very new to me. The HF guys are very much into loops on the ground to keep the noise down. And so they asked me to come out with a switch that will give them a receive-only antenna. That you transmit on your normal transmitting antenna, and then when you go to receive, it goes to your loop on your ground, and that way you can have a low noise receiver antenna. Yeah. And that was all new to me. The HF guys have had to teach me how that works because I've never done HF in my life.
Well, that's interesting, and please don't take this the wrong way. I've said this many times. The more you know about this hobby, the more you realise just how little you know. And everybody helps everybody and everybody teaches. Interesting products. As I wrap this up for today, I was rather rude because I didn't introduce you properly with your name. And give us your name and where you can find these on the internet.
Absolutely. I'm Paul, N2EME, and you can find them, as it says, SDRSwitch.com. And in the UK, Martin Lynch sell them. And I ship all around the world. They go all over the place every week.
Well, that's good. That's good news. Listen, kept you for quite a while. I'll say thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
And best of luck with your product sales.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.